Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just making sure that we're up and running on the stream, and we will get straight into it. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Project May Die episode. Today we're going to be talking about the absolute chaos that is going on all across the United States of America and talks of coming civil war. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a point where the main civil discourse going on in the United States of America is whether or not we are going to be either A, and this is the worst case scenario, fighting against each other in the streets, or B, breaking up into multiple nations, essentially balkanizing, basically, and hopefully, which would be the third option, a peaceful divorce. Well, it's kind of funny watching as Michael Malice had put this out into the ether about a year ago, and now it is now the #1 trending hashtag on Twitter. Now, it does seem like they actually did remove it. They removed it from the #1 trending after roughly 50,000+ tweets on the subject, climbing higher and higher and higher as our country continues to be polarized. But what I thought I would do in this particular segment, in this particular podcast, was actually talk about a personal experience that I had today. And it's some e-drama, guys. E-drama, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's what gets the clicks. But at the end of the day, ideally, in the most opportune society, we would be able to debate our ideas, bring them to the forefront, have them challenged on their merits, and have a discussion. And yet, it seems very, very difficult for the left today to have a discussion about anything without labeling you a racist, a bigot, a misogynist. Insert every sort of label you can ever exist, because they don't have any principles. They don't have any logic. In fact, I'm starting to come around to the idea that the best way to quote unquote debate these people is actually questioning their virtue, because what many of them are actually projecting is their virtue. It is projecting how moral they are. It's kind of ironic because when I grew up in the 90s as a child, listening to rock and roll, alternate rock, stuff like that, pushing against the grain, rebellion, it was the evangelical Christians. And believe me, I love my Christians, folks, not hating on the Christians, ladies and gentlemen, but it was the evangelical Christians, I can't talk today, who were the ones who were actually pushing back on rock and roll, saying it is demon worship. You're trying to summon Satan into the world. It was this morality, this piousness, this omnipresent, super grandiose, godlike vision of the world that was being pressed down upon us, telling us that's bad, don't do that. That will make you X, Z. No, today the left has taken up the mantle of the right in terms of morality and virtue, and they call it justice. Let me show exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm getting absolutely slobber knockered on this particular post. As you know, I am reply deboosted and shadow banned on Twitter, suspended multiple times for simply asserting facts. And at the end of the day, we are up against multinational corporations and big businesses who do not have America's best interests in mind. In fact, they would rather have you, well, how was it put again by the World Economic Forum? Oh, that's right. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Welcome to the future. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this right here. This was something that I put out early on today in my precinct. I have, well, I'll show you. Daniel Webster. Daniel Webster is my representative for my particular precinct here in Florida. He posted something about World Mental Health Day, and I follow my guy. I'm not a huge fan of his actual voting record. He's done some good things. He's done some bad things. I think he fails on a lot of merits because he doesn't actually speak out like many of the patriots that have been essentially castigated and removed from society. So let's see what happened. Today is World Mental Health Day. I've supported funding for federal research grant programs for universities who are pursuing a better understanding of mental illness and potential solutions that will support mental health providers who keep our communities well. Then we have this information coming out from Kate. What are you doing for the mental health of your constituents who continue to believe the lies of the deranged former president spouts because your party won't hold him accountable? Well, I took issue to that. I actually live in this district and it is ruby red. 68% of the people in this particular precinct voted for Donald Trump. And well, let's see how it goes. I said, you're talking to the representative of a ruby red district that 68% voted for Trump. I voted for the man. Of course, the grammar comes in, very common. I live in the same congressional district. Interesting. So what I did, I took it upon myself, took a look at them. They said that they were traveling across America. They were a New Englander. So I said, oh, you're no longer traveling. I'm a former New England transplant myself. I was actually born up in New England. Why did you choose to move to a red state? And this is very common. You actually see this right now. There is a huge, massive amount of people that are moving out of blue states as they drift into tyranny and are fleeing into freedom-loving states like Florida, New Hampshire, Texas, and the list goes on. In fact, we'll continue. She said, I haven't lived in New England in 35 years. I served in the Navy in Florida. So there's your answer. I liked her post. I said, wonderful. I said, awesome. That is hilarious in regards to the fact that we have a lot in common. We're both from New England. We're both transplants. We were both in the Navy. I think that was kind of funny. I mean, it's not that many characteristics across the line, but it is a few. So we have some commonalities. I say, it's hilarious, right? Awesome. That is hilarious. I was also in the Navy. I was stationed in Norfolk, though. I'm surprised, given your background, that you're voting blue. Why, though? Why did I say this? Essentially, I was saying, hey, look, I've been in the military, and a majority of the military is red. If you look at the states that happen to go into the military and actually enlist, they are predominantly red states, predominantly red counties, predominantly red districts. It's very common. I didn't mind going in with liberals and serving with them. I would have gave my life for those people. I used to stand on guard, freezing. I would go back to back with my friend, my fellow sailor, just so we could stay warm. She says, what background? The Navy? Do only red people serve? We're done here, right? Very common tactic. Shut down the discussion. Let's no longer talk. We no longer need to talk, right? So what happens next? I said, I'm trying to have a conversation with you so I can better understand your conclusions, right? This is a New England transplant who served honorably, I assume, in the United States Navy, and is now living in Florida, in my precinct. And I'm wondering how they're coming to their conclusions and why they are voting blue. So I say, I'm trying to have a conversation with you so I can better understand your conclusions. It's no secret that the military is overwhelmingly red. I never said they're the only ones who are served. And you'll notice this, they will act as if you said something that you never did. They will come to these grand, amazing, unbelievable conclusions without any facts or data. I said, why stymie debate? If we can't talk, how can we have a country? What happens to countries that talk? Do they fight? Do they go to war? No, because they're talking. Do countries that trade with each other go to war? No, because they're trading. Do countries that have mutual interests go to war with another? No, because they have mutual interests. Again, she said, I didn't engage you. You engaged me. We're done here. Refusing to have a conversation. Now, at any point, people are willing to step away. There's no reason that, if she wants to go on her merry way and do her own thing, that's fine. My problem is that these people come in with these grasping, waving, amazing conclusions. And when someone actually presses them on what they believe, they retreat. They hide. And then, my friend, that's when the troll farms come in. So take a look. I said, aye, aye, chief. I was like, look, I'm trying to have a conversation here. It's fine that you don't want to have a conversation, but hey, it's a little weird, right? No big deal. Next thing you know, blocked. That's what we're dealing with. So I throw this out here. I say the conversation is the state. This conversation is the state of political discourse from the left. If we can't communicate, we cannot have a country. Civil war is coming. The number one trending thing, right? This is where the discussion is happening. This is where people are talking about the state of the country and the turmoil and the breaking of the fabric of our society. This is where the conversation's happening. But again, this is what we deal with. It says, is this how you start a discourse? Seems like more like you're trying to start a fight. Again, always projecting what I'm thinking, projecting what I'm feeling, projecting what I'm communicating, right? Never addressing what's actually being said, but projecting about me, what's in my own brain, what I'm thinking, what I'm trying to communicate. It is them grasping out, trying to tell you what you're thinking, trying to gaslight you into believing their own mantra. Very similar to religion, very similar going back to the Christians from before, who were saying that the people who were listening to rock and roll were devil worshippers. We'll continue on. Should I debate an arsonist who wants to burn down my house? Your hashtag is saying you are the arsonist, to be clear, right? Again, projection. Saying, because of my hashtag, I know why you posted that hashtag. It's not because you wanted to debate. It's not because you wanted a discussion. No. In fact, it was because you are a terrorist, right? It's you who are the one who is causing the division. The man who is going out there trying to start a conversation is the one who is trying to tear this country apart, right? Again, projection about what I am thinking, right? Do you need the ambulance or would you like another audit? Again, I'm fine with trolls, but again, there's no communication. This is all morality. This is all virtue signaling. This is their tribal instinct, right? It's just slapping down, right? Slapping down on people, right? Hey, can we have a discussion about this? Hey, let's see what we have in common. Hey, these billionaires, these multimedia tech companies, hey, these giant propaganda machines that are owned by billionaires that are completely taking over this country, raping and pillaging it of its wealth, of its employment, of its people, of its future. Maybe we can talk about that. No. Wambulance, right? Oh, Lucius, you're under the mistaken perception that this kind of premise is debatable. It is not. And I know plenty of military who are not read. Again, refusing to acknowledge the discussion. Always brushing it off. Never willing to debate what is actually being said. Again, another projection. Dude, you want discourse, but you use that hashtag. Why are you promoting such a divisive idea, such a civil war? Because it's trending. Because that's where the conversation is happening. Because that's where it makes the most sense. Because if you use hashtags like unity, love, trust, what do people actually move to? What do people actually click on? They click on rage. They click on anger. They click on anything that activates their lizard brain, right? Fear. Because it's trending, because people from political spectrums will be affected by this, because that is where the debate is. The only thing I'm promoting is discourse, and I'm told I'm divisive because of it, right? Strangers don't have to talk to you. She was initially addressing someone else. Also, you referred to one of her earnest responses as hilarious, right? And this is, again, projection. I said, this is hilarious because we both have commonalities. We're both in the military at one point. We were both in the same place, right? Living in the same precinct. We were both former New Englanders. That was hilarious to me. It's like, wow, that's weird. You know, we're both messaging the same representative who has barely any followers at the same time and coming to two totally different conclusions. I wonder what a discussion would come of this, right? Instead, no. Again, just more troll stuff. More troll stuff. This is not the got you. I think it is. And this is the one that I actually engaged with quite a bit. We'll move off from this, but just to show you the e-drama for what it's worth. I said, she says, this is the got you This isn't the gotcha you think it is, Jenna. And blocking discourse is. And one thing you'll notice about a lot of these troll farms is the amount of likes they'll receive on a post without any comments under it whatsoever. It's very common in the Twitter algorithm. Twitter actually acknowledges this, that these troll farms exist and they're pumping up certain users. Hotep Jesus actually talks about this. This is actually how he grew his own Twitter community. He used black hat tactics where he paid for a service in order so every time that he posted something, he got tons of likes, tons of retweets, tons of shares. And Twitter refuses to remove these troll farms off of Twitter because it helps boost their user base and increase their profits. They know this is happening, but they don't care. She says, we don't have to be nice to holes. It's not like anything we would say would ever change your mind. We don't owe you jack. Fair enough. I said, you don't have to be nice. The replies from the people in the thread are proof. It's tribal at this point, and it is. This with us against us attitude, not willing to reach across and say, hey, these people are all screwing us. Democrats and Republicans are all screwing us. Why don't we come together to take them down a peg? But no. I said, you don't have to be nice. The replies from people in this thread are proof of that. It's tribal at this point. This with us against us attitude is why both Republicans and Democrats receive funding from the same billionaires who divide us, right? Listen to what I said. This with us against us attitude is why both Republicans and Democrats receive funding from the same billionaires who divide us. She says, LOL, you aren't a victim. Don't care there. You respond, doesn't even talk about that part, right? Acknowledges a truth in the world that billionaire classes are using us like pawns to pin us against each other so that they can profit. We are witnessing the largest wealth transfer in the history of mankind. People are in the streets. People are dying. Suicide rates are up. Crime is up. Arson is up. And in the mainstay, in the main space, people are now talking openly about civil war. This is serious. And no one cares because it's just about their virtue. It's just about scoring points with their tribe. You clearly don't know how to have a conversation either. Do better. It's always this gravitas, this never just floating over the water, right? Like Jesus, just floating over the water, untouchable in their morality and their virtue. I said, label that which you do not understand. Demean those who seek different outcomes. A lack of propensity to engage, all the while dog whistling my lack thereof. Do you have a definition of this thinking? Abusive. This is what an abusive partner does, an abusive spouse, an abusive friend, right? You are the problem. It's the way that you're talking to me. It's the way that you're conversing with me. All the while not engaging in the actual discussion. Always superseded by virtue over logic. Feelings over truth. Reality is fictitious. It is created by their own mind. She says, ha ha ha, you want to be a victim. Typical Trump supporters. I said, again, just more levels. Keep going. We'll make for good content for the pod. And hey, I hope you guys are enjoying it. So let's take a look at one last thing and then we'll move on. I gotta say that this is essentially the means in which we are being attacked. We are being gaslit into believing that protesting against race essentialism is evil and is akin to you being a domestic terrorist. We are being told that our freedom is selfish, that a desire to not want a medical procedure makes us a bad person. In fact, they've gotten to the point where they are actively calling for our deaths, while at the same time gaslighting us into believing that they care. They don't. They want you dead. It's just a fact. KC773, I've sent articles from Gateway Pun to woke people and they won't even look at it, saying it is far-right racist site. This keeps people who claim to be so open-minded in Plato's cave. Agreed, Casey. Agreed. And this is why we can no longer debate in terms of actual logical reasoning. The only way that you are able to break through to these people is by questioning their own morality. You must question their motives. You must question what it is that makes them feel so omnipotent, that makes them feel so godlike and righteous. This is very similar to a religion, right? We are the heretics. We are the non-believers. They are the righteous ones. They are the elite. And what I can't figure out for the life of me, and I'm really trying to figure it out, is the moral virtue that they receive from their bubble, their hive mind. Is it so worthy and so great? The feeling is so euphoric to them that they are willing to overlook everything that is actually happening in reality. The raising of gas, the raising of energy, the raising of lumber, copper, nickel, food prices through the roof, jobs, unemployment, crime, chaos. They're willing to overlook all of this because they are accepting and inclusive and they just love so much until you don't agree with them. And then, well, then you can just jump off a bridge and die, right? Which is the usual response. And maybe you guys can give me some help on that particular Twitter. Check me out on Twitter at Lucius Coal. Same here on YouTube, right? It really is a shit show of lefty euphoria. And I highly recommend you check it out. Maybe we'll go through a couple more because they were spicy. And to be honest, during this thread, I really wanted to try to have some form of discourse. Like, hey, look, like they're always saying, Republicans, oh my God, Republicans. Let's actually look at the data. Let's look at who actually likes the Republicans in charge. Let's take a look, right? When you poll Democrats and ask about Democratic leadership, right? People like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they receive over 70% approval rates across Democrats. Republicans, though, when polled on McConnell and what's his other name? Kevin. Anyway, the House minority leader? Kevin McCarthy. There we go. They typically poll at an approval percentage of 30%, meaning that Republicans hate their leadership and Democrats love their leadership. And yet, whenever Republicans do something that's corporatist, that do something that only benefit the 1% or the 0.01%, or they send our jobs overseas, or that they create more entitlement programs in order for us to continue to have to work for the government instead of having the government work for us. We hate that kind of stuff. If you remember, back when Donald Trump passed the first stimulus bill, along with the second, if you were to go on one of the huge major websites of Trump supporters like patriots.win, people were hating on Donald Trump. Just how, like, when he went to Alabama and started talking about the vacuums, I think you know what I'm talking about, people booed at him because it has become so toxic because Democrat-run cities and Democrat-run states are now creating segregated societies. Just like back during Jim Crow, the Democrats once again are creating segregated societies. History repeating itself once again. Salt Lakers game. Exactly. Hey, the Salt Lakers, I agree with you. Watching TV, getting the vacuum, it's a total sheep fest. I read Vox, Slate, MSNBC, and other lefty sites, not because I agree, but because I want to stand in their shoes and get a full perspective. The woke people don't do that. They are in their own echo chamber. Agree. And the thing is, too, these people say reach out, communicate with us, right? Go out and talk with people. Whenever I try to talk to a lefty, especially a hardcore lefty, not just, your average run-of-the-mill moderate, but they will physically get violent. If you say something to them like, hey, have you ever noticed that Democrats, and sometimes just as a caveat, you'll throw it in there, just to, just Democrats and Republicans typically get a lot of their donor money from the same exact businesses. Isn't that weird? No, not Democrats, not Democrats. And then you actually listen to the politicians that have left office, right? Look at the podcasts of Justin Amash, right? And Tulsi Gabbard. What did they say? They said that politics is theater. Many of the things that you see on C-SPAN are already preordained. They have a series of questions that they are going to ask particular people. So those people can then prep for the questions that they're going to be asked on television. It's all a big game. 95, I would say like 98% of Republicans and 98% of Democrats are all for selling out America. There is a very, very, very small percentage of politicians that actually care about their constituents. But at the end of the day, it's about messaging, right? So just to go back into this is perfect. And I love this because it's a prime example of how the left actually uses language in order to weaponize it and project their own insecurities at you, right? It says, let me clue you in, you Lucius. People who think like you are the real problem here, right? You see my thinking, right? Again, it's projection. It's you that are the problem. Hey, I want to have some civil discourse. Let's have a coffee. Let's talk about this, right? No, you're the problem. You're the violent one. And then again, look at how many likes here. 8 likes, right? Your original comment did not come in close to addressing Kate's question. Rather, you indicated you too need mental health services. Glad you left New England. See? Virtue, again. I'm on the left. Why would I blank? Would I talk to someone starting a conversation as threatening a war against their fellow citizens? You don't want dialogue. You want acquiescence, and you're not getting it from me. I said a failure in dialogue is what drives the war in the first place. You can't have a country with people who refuse to debate. And again, it's always more virtue. Why must everyone bend to the right's discourse? How does that make sense? Said, hey, I'd love to have a conversation. Whoa! I am not bending the knee to these racists. It's like, hey, maybe we can talk about, this billionaire class that's completely destroying our country, this international class that's coming in and making everybody poorer. Let's talk about that. Shut up, racist! Shut up, racist, okay? Whoa! Super scary. Take a breather. He said, if you served in the Navy but backed Trump, a guy who is trying to overthrow a free and fair election who incited to attack our capital, then you're a disgrace to your oath. I said, how is it bending the knee to engage in discourse? Is this not a founding principle of the Republic? Conversation, so we don't have to fight each other physically. I don't know. Crazy stuff, right? I'd say hashtag civil war is coming belies your supposed interest in discourse. I said civil war is coming when discourse is being had. It is the #1 trend on Twitter. The fact you found this thread in the first place, and all of these people who wouldn't even be commenting on my profile if I did not post this hashtag. Good luck if you are a shadow banned account on Twitter. Good luck trying to get your message out there. Facebook has already said that they have VIP people. Twitter openly shows it with their blue check marks. But there's also this huge amalgamation of troll farms. And then on top of that, approved accounts, right? Accounts that can say that, they want to hurt you, that they're going to hunt you down, that they're going to get you, right? These people get a pass. It's totally fine. And again, so you think you're right here. So you're willing to kill another American citizen because she blocked you. When did I say that? Again, it's always projection. Every time. No one is obligated to engage in your bullshit. Yes, don't engage at all. Just ignore. Just ignore 50% of the public. Just ignore them. Right? Just ignore all of that. You're going to murder your fellow countrymen because they won't talk to you? Guys, I can't. It's just over and over again, just projection and gaslighting, right? None of this, I never said any of this, right? But because I posted a hashtag, right? Because I posted a hashtag, Civil War is coming, that means that me personally, right? Me personally is calling for civil war, right? I said, you know, what happened to the left? Can someone, I used to be a Democrat. I voted for Obama. Oh, like, what happened to this party? The liberals, the leftists, always used to be the warm side of the pool. It always used to be where the party was, right? There was maybe a little chaos, a little anarchy, sexual liberation. It's appealing to a young person, right? You know, hey, screw the establishment. I'm a rebel, right? And now they are openly advocating for the establishment. They are advocating for their own enslavement. They are watching as their country is being raped by international interests, and they are cheering it on. What was it again? Democracy ends with thunderous applause. It's unbelievable, guys. I'm definitely going to link this particular episode as a retort to all of these people. Maybe I can red pill one of them. I doubt it. It's going to be very, very difficult to break through the propaganda. And again, when they find out you vote for Trump, right? And I'm just going to say this at the end. I lost a lot of respect for Donald Trump when he left office. Not because of the insurrection. Not because of that. No, I lost a lot of respect for him when he decided not to take Julian Assange, take Edward Snowden, take Lance Ulbricht, heck, just throw in the Tiger King, right? And he just let them rot in jail, right? Whistleblowers and people that were pointing out the mass atrocities of the American government. And he left them to rot. So what can we do about this, right? I've been talking about Project May Die. For those of you who don't know, I'm just going to continue to echo it. Project May Die, I will be having some videos out in the near future. Essentially, Project May Die is a play on Project Mayhem by Fight Club. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be doing the same thing as Project Mayhem from Fight Club, just for a disclaimer for YouTube before they freak out. No, it's the absurd. It is clown world protesting. It is extreme protesting. It is bizarre protesting, dressing up like clowns, making yourself the fool, making yourself the joker, making yourself stand out, because all across the world, there are massive movements fighting for freedom against this medical tyranny. All across the world, and yet none of the multi-billionaire corporate entities that are funded by internationalists that do not give a damn about America. They care about money, which is why you see such a large increase in the Chinese market. There's a lot more Chinese to sell to over there. And believe me, these internationalists will not even fret if they have to get rid of their American brethren. I mean, look yourself. Who's the ambassador to China right now, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, that's right. It's the former CEO of Disney. And that's the big problem. Unlike Soviet Russia, where there weren't many economic ties, the United States have a myriad and myriad of connections with China, especially in terms of incoming products, such as basically everything. Essentially everywhere you go, made in China, right? And we must continue to fight back. Let's make it absurd. Let's make it obscene. Let's just keep calling out this craziness. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.